This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the June monthly partnership meeting of SCDRP, the Southeast and Caribbean Disaster Resilience Partnership. My name is Heather McCarthy. I have the honor and pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of SCDRP. And thank you for joining us today. Well, folks, it's June, and hurricane season officially started on June 1st. Summer season officially started last Thursday, June 20th, and today, June 27th, officially kicks off our SCDRP Partner Picks Summer Speaker Series. So here is our agenda for today. First, we are excited to announce the release of a new additional resources page on the SCDRP website. Second, we will reveal some new features of the SCDRP Friday newsletters, and then updates on the SCDRP mentorship program and our Partner Picks Summer Speaker Series. And then next, we will hear from today's super speakers from PuroClean San Juan. And the final minutes of today's meeting will be partner sharing. So please be ready to share your relevant regional news and announcements, and feel free to drop those announcements into the chat box at any time, and we will gather them and add them to our next SCDRP newsletter. So you may have noticed that list of resources at the bottom of every one of our SCDRP Friday newsletters has been exploding lately. The resources list has just been getting so long that Claire, our SCDRP program coordinator, decided to move the list over to a new web page for your continual and easy access. So go to our website, scdrp.socorro.org, click on the Resources tab, and then click on Additional Resources. And here you will find the ever-changing and ever-growing list of additional resources. And if you know of helpful resources that we have not included, please shoot us an email, scdrp@socorro.org, and Claire will add it. Another exciting new feature of every SCDRP newsletter is Collaboration Corner. And this is another way that we can knowledge share all year long. Have a question? Have a request for information? Are you just looking for a pathway to reach the entire 580 plus SCDRP listserv members? Well, here it is. So please email your question or request to scdrp@socorro.org, and we will work on getting you answers. You may have noticed that last Friday we had a partner requesting guidance on metrics of resilience. So please offer your responses by emailing us at scdrp@socorro.org. We will gather all of your collective knowledge and feature that topic in our next newsletter. So thanks for your participation. This is how we nurture peer learning across sectors and geographies and build our region's capacity. SCDRP is committed to the development of the next generation of resilience professionals in our region. And to that end, our partnership committee is gearing up to launch the very first season of the SCDRP mentorship program. Are you an experienced professional, passionate about building the next generation of climate resilience changemakers? Are you a student or early career professional who wants to grow professionally or break into the field of resilience? Then we need to hear from you. We are envisioning a low level of commitment, just a few hours of training, and then 1 hour mentor-mentee chat, maybe just once a month for the duration of an academic semester or an academic year. So if you are interested in being a future mentor or mentee, please take our survey by July 1st. And Claire, could you please drop the link to the mentorship program survey into the chat box?
Yep, it is in there.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Claire. Already, your responses to the SCDRP mentorship program are rolling in, and the SCDRP mentorship survey has generated exceptional engagement via our social media outlets, especially LinkedIn. And as you can see, we have a wide variety of graduate students and young professionals that want to be mentored. And Look at this outstanding list of potential mentors. SCDRP partners, you are stepping up. Thank you for your commitment to support professional development in the Southeast and Caribbean. Becoming an SCDRP mentor is a tremendous pathway to pay it forward and an exceptional opportunity to really make a difference. And this last list kind of surprised me. We have the greatest number of partners that are interested in being both a mentor and a mentee, or they're not sure which, they're not sure where they fit into the program. So we will do our best to match up mentees with mentors based, not only on career fields of work, professional interest, areas of expertise, but also on preferred traits, including demographics and life experiences. So by filling out the interest survey on the SCDRP mentorship program, you're not making a commitment now. But if you think you might be remotely interested, go ahead, fill out the interest form, and we will see how you match up with others. So Claire dropped the link to the SCDRP mentorship program survey into the chat box. And please fill it out by July 1st. So July 1st is the deadline for expressing your interest in being a part of this very first cohort of SCDRP mentors and mentees. And thanks again for stepping up. So today we launched the first ever SCDRP Partner Pick Summer Speaker Series. You chose the speakers. Thank you for sending us your speaker suggestions. We had an awesome response. And we not only have speakers for the months of June, July, and August, but we also added September too. And I'd like to highlight our August partner picks. On August 22nd, we will hear from Sharon Messick at the NOAA Regional Climate Services Office and Dr. Chris Furman from the NOAA Southeast Regional Climate Center. We're excited to hear from them. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you today our two partner pick summer speakers joining us live from Puerto Rico. Joseph Ortiz, you can wave. Joseph is from Bayamon, Puerto Rico. He graduated from the public education system and continued his post-secondary studies at Ana G. Mendez University, Coopy campus, earning a bachelor's degree in applied sciences with a specialty in social sciences. Joseph served in the United States Army. He is trained in aviation operations and has worked as a technician in the aircraft maintenance industry for several companies. He founded DC Jet Services, which operates in various states and Puerto Rico. 2 years ago, Joseph bought the PuroClean franchise in Reston, Virginia, and then established the first PuroClean franchise in the Caribbean, PuroClean of San Juan. He launched his businesses in Puerto Rico with an expert work team that immediately focused on the restoration of properties affected by Hurricane Fiona. So owning disaster response and recovery businesses in both Virginia and in Puerto Rico gives Joseph a truly unique perspective and portfolio of experiences. So he sees how things get done on the mainland, like obtaining shipments of drywall, but then he also sees how things get done in Puerto Rico, where getting drywall, for example, is not so easy. So we thank you, Joseph, for bringing these experiences to us today. Our second, absolutely. Our second speaker today is Ángel Crespo Ortiz. And if you could, Ángel, turn your camera on and give a little wave. Ángel Crespo is safety, security, and emergency management consultant with a growing private practice. With his vast experience in incident management, Ángel puts his capabilities in emergency response, damage mitigation, fire and explosion investigation, and incident and disaster command at the disposal of PuroClean of San Juan and its clients. Ángel has over 20 years of experience in public service and has passed through every step within the Puerto Rico Fire Department rank system, becoming state fire chief in 2013. Ángel implemented a reform package that entirely transformed the Puerto Rico Fire Department, and under Angel's command, the public ranked the Puerto Rico Fire Department as the #1 local state agency on the island. And I learned more recently that Ángel is a huge fan of the Real Madrid Football Club. Joseph and Ángel, a very warm welcome to you both, and a big thanks for taking the time to share your knowledge and experiences with our partnership today.
Awesome.
It is my
Thank you.
pleasure to present Joseph.
Go. Get it ready. Hello, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk to you guys. Ever since we started this business out here, my goal has been associating and being part of organizations that are going to provide a lot of value to our mission. And our mission is to have Puerto Rico ready on it. So right now we're launching the presentation. Is it? It's not working? He got it. She got it on. Go.
And Karina should be bringing it up shortly.
Bring it up.
Let us know if you have any trouble. I can share also.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go. Right. Go back. Yep. There you go.
perfect.
Perfect. Awesome. Again, Joe Ortiz, president. I was born and raised here in Puerto Rico, so this is why this is a little bit more special to me. Throughout the years, we experienced hurricanes, natural disasters, and I know how much it hurts our people. So that's why we want to make this and we want to make it the right way. That's why I'm bringing the best team possible in the island, and we're establishing just a little bit more than a regular restoration company that you will see in the United States. Out here, PuroClean is something different. So the brand itself, PuroClean, they've been, and you've probably seen them. They're 20 years of experience, more than 500 franchises all over the United States and Canada. The good thing about PureClean, the special thing about PureClean is we're individual operators. So we got our own business. We establish and we create strategies based on our location and where we're going to be at. Right. And I think the focus on PureClean on the brand is 100% on that compassion and just working with the people, understanding the situation that you're in. It's not just profit and profit, it's just being ready and involving with the community. That's the reason why I selected Pure King as the brand that I wanted to go into the restoration industry with. Another advantage of Pure King is allowed us operators to join forces, and basically we create teams in case we got a dispatch to Virginia, Florida. We talk to each other. We unite forces, we join equipment, and we dispatch and move around just to ensure that we can stabilize any type of situation. With Pure Cleans of San Juan specifically, you got the basic restoration services, which is your fire, smoke, water mitigation, mold, and biohazard work. But in Puerto Rico, you have to do a little bit different. Constructions, cement, concrete. It's not the basic drywall that you'll see in the States. There's some complexities. There's old infrastructure that needs reconstruction, and there's a lot of other services that are needed here. So that's why if you see our wallet of services, it's extended. It's a little bit more than you normally will see on a regular restoration company. But we're ready. The goal is just to maintain and have a sustainable business involved with the community, but just being ready whenever we do get hit with any type of hurricane or natural disaster out there. We're the first one that are operating 24/7. We cover the entire island, and we're ready to go. So, uh, so as you know, it's weird that in Puerto Rico, the restoration term wasn't really a known term unless you work with an insurance carrier or if you got a company that this dispatched and moved to Puerto Rico after a hurricane. You would think that we're ready with the experience and all the hurricanes. We have more than 94 hurricanes, majors, and the majority is Cat 3s and above. We've seen the damage that it causes us, and we're still recovering. At this point, I can tell you right now, this is 2024, and we're still not there. We're still dealing with Maria, and that was in 2017. So you would think that preparation is key, and that we learn our lessons, but there was still a need, and that was the main reason why we decided to mobilize and actually set up operations up here. So this is a small video. We got a sister company called Signal Restoration. Basically, this is what got the whole ball rolling as far as like setting up operations out here in Puerto Rico. In 2017, Maria hit. It destroyed the whole island. Right? So this specifically is an iconic hotel called Caribe Hilton that signal dispatched all the troops and basically set up a complete renovation, more than $130 million in 2 years with more than 3,000 employees, everybody here from the island, from Puerto Rico. We set up operations. It allowed us to understand the island, the needs, the manpower, what's available, what's not, and the issues with the logistics. So during those 2 years, I think we got enough data to come up with a solid strategy on what is needed out there in Puerto Rico to be ready and to prevent items like this from happening. At the end, this whole claim was completely paid. The hotel is back to normal right now, and we have multiple other instances like Molo San Juan, Hampton Inn, multiple hotels that we worked on. But this is what got everything started. And basically, Signal and PuroClean fell in love with the island, fell in love with Puerto Rico, and wanted to provide a solution for the long term and just provide some readiness here in the island. So, take this one. So with that, basically, we learned the way that the complexity of dealing with a situation out here in Puerto Rico and a large scale, right? There's some steps that we got to take in order to be able to mitigate and restore a building like this hotel and all the properties that are here down there in the island of Puerto Rico. So these are basic steps that starts from the mitigation, the assessing, having the personnel, make sure that you're able to remove debris and stuff. You have to be ready for this. It's just Puerto Rico is just not ready at the time. So you got to have a company or somebody that is taking steps. We can't rely on the government, and that's the heaviest part and the biggest issue here, that we're relying on the government is having issues itself, and we don't have the private sector actually spending some money and creating some planning here to prevent these issues from happening. So basically, we learned the lessons, we understand what it takes, and now we're here, we're in place, and we're ready to go. So ever since Maria, there's plenty of studies. There's one that we like to highlight, the fact that the mold presence inside of the buildings, basically the measurements are 3 times the normal compared to other sites in the United States, and it continued to increase throughout Maria. And at this point, there's so many buildings that are just completely sick. We got issues with constructions, ventilation, leaks, filtrations everywhere in the buildings with cement. They were never assessed properly. They were never repaired the proper way. So now we're out there on the floor. We're trying to mitigate. We're trying to help. And now we got an incoming hurricane season that is coming in. And yeah, I don't think we're at that point. So what we decided to do is we're going to change things a little bit. PuroClean basically have estimators and experts that are going for free to all these, not only commercial customers, we're going to residential customers. We're doing assessments. We're building scopes of work. We're sending pictures and full reports just so they understand and they know we're trying to offer the service, but letting them know and educate them on how to properly prepare, to be able to sustain less damage out there and prevent it. This last month, basically, we've been running all over the island because we know we got the hurricane season coming. If you put up the next slide, basically, we've been in the radio, we've been in TV, any show, government activity, we'll do it for free. We're not charging anything. We're actually paying just to educate and make sure that we're getting people to be conscious about the importance of preventive maintenance and planning and preparation. And there's so many aspects, and we were just not ready. Again, we're relying on government entities to take care of that, and I think the civilian sector has to do something about it. So this is what we've been doing, and we're going to continue doing it all throughout. So also some of the lessons that we learned, we can have all the equipment in the world, but it has to be here. The logistics is a nightmare, and being reactive is not an option anymore, especially with this island with so many issues that you're having. So we decided to make the investment and actually have all the proper equipment down here sitting in the island. We're strategizing. That's when Ángel comes in. Basically, we're setting up flood areas, and we're strategically placing locations that we will be able to respond quickly to stabilize any issues that we have in the island. That's a large investment, but I think in the long run, the people are going to understand and they know that we're committed, right? Also, on this, with this equipment, it's not good if you don't have technicians and know how to operate. You don't have project managers and people that can take charge and mitigate these buildings properly. So we decided, instead of just getting the talent from the States, we're actually keeping the local talent and we're training the guys out here. We got a big budget of personal development. We're creating the mitigation industry now. We're setting it up as a career. Like, this is a career path that you can take. We're getting guys certified with ICRC and all types of, we got a training matrix that is set up that basically you can select your path, but you will understand and you will be a professional restoration technician that you're going to be in here. And you're going to be ready to dispatch. You'll be training. In the meantime, we got a sustainable business that we're using, and we're selling all the services to maintain, so we don't have to just kind of sit and wait and hope for a hurricane to come by or a fire. We got a good business and guys that are training at all times. But when we do get the hurricane, we're going to dispatch and we'll be ready to go. We don't have to wait and sit for 2 weeks for somebody to come over from the States to be able to help us out here. So this is kind of an example of the setups that we're placing everywhere and the equipment that we have out here. So the next one. And the last factor, of course, is basically we got to learn the biggest lesson. We have to be ready. And this is not only on the residential side, on the business side. We have some data that shows that like 40% of the businesses that close after a hurricane, they really just don't ever recover, right? So you have to be ready, and we're trying to make sure that we're educating all the customers, everybody in the island equal. They know what's coming. If you see the data for this 2024 season, you know something is going to come through. So we need to be proactive, right? And part of that is the risk assessment part of things, right? And that's why we brought an expert like Ángel, so he can make sure that we're ready to do a risk assessment, do some planning, to cover the whole stuff, uh, of all the need that basically all these customers have, and become a one-stop shop. And that's basically what PuroClean has become. So I think Angel is going to talk a little bit about the risk assessment and some examples that he has up there that he ran into. Go ahead, Angel.
Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Thanks Joseph for this amazing introduction of PuroClean services, PuroClean of San Juan. Um, in Puerto Rico, we're not familiarized as restoration services as people are familiar in US, but it's increasing the presence of this kind of services, and PuroClean of San Juan bring world-class service to the people of Puerto Rico. And from my point of view, it's uh, it's very uh, good from the company to do not charge for free inspections for people, or trying to use spokesperson like me, because people recognize me as a former fire chief, and a person that I'm a safety, health and safety instructor in the island, and emergency management preparedness, and people can understand that we are here to educate the community or aware the community to move forward in the from private sector, NGOs, and everybody. So after the Hurricane Maria, Puerto Rico start receiving support and help from lots of people from and organizations from different parts of the world. Examples of them are Direct Relief, AmeriCares, uh, American Red Cross, Salvation Army, among others. And we start receiving donations. Community organizations, for example, like healthcare facilities, and this case study is something that I faced in my private practice recently. I think this was like 18 months or less than 2 years at this point. And we're going to talk about this company, or this healthcare facility in Loíza, Puerto Rico. Loíza is a suburb municipality close to San Juan. It's a municipality in the coast, with a big issue of flooding and another challenges this community face regularly. So the Loíza Health Council. This is a Concilio Integral de Loíza, is the organization that they receive um, funding for a very powerful generator to move this whole healthcare facility. And this powerful generator works with diesel. So that's a good example of challenges after the hurricane. This community received that generator and they installed this properly with professional engineers, and and they run a state of the art installation. This is myself, and in the right side you see the generator with the doors open, and all of this liquid spilled in the floor. It's diesel combustible. So that was on a Monday, a holiday at 6 p.m. The security guard observed the liquid on the floor, and this generator have a 1,000-gallon tank to supply the combustible, but they also have a transfer pump of combustible to move diesel from a 5,000 gallons tank to the generator. So that day, that transfer pump have a failure, and they start spilling diesel everywhere. So you see how healthcare facility, it's an NGO, their business or their function is to provide all health uh, services, healthcare facility services to the community, but they start challenging to handle hazardous materials because it's not their business to collect diesel or have a tremendous industrial generator. So this is happening in the island now, not only in the healthcare facilities. These start happening in the houses of people. These start happening in small business everywhere. So we respond, my office, Crespo Advisor, with a bunch of friends. And in that moment, PuroClean was not in Puerto Rico at that time. In a moment like that, I will run that with PuroClean. Uh, but we collect the diesel, and we handle that hazardous material spill with all the standards, reporting to EPA, and the cost of this operation for this healthcare facility and NGO was less than $30,000, maybe $28,000. At that point, that healthcare facility NGO didn't have a insurance policy to cover that kind of spills, and most people in the island don't know about the pollution liability coverage to cover that kind of incidents and paid for the cleaning and the recycle of the materials and other things. So that's what I was very happy when Joseph called me to join his staff, because I see, you know what, companies like PuroClean that have a very good reputation, is a well-known organization in US. We need that kind of services in Puerto Rico, not only to create business and revenue. Everybody loves to make money, and that's not bad, but in that case, it's a business that sustain their own business, but can serve the community in a capacity that the government don't have to collect that. That's a case study. So risk mitigation for us is very important, and that's what we are doing right now. We are start to offer our services in high-rise buildings. We have uh, the majority of our population is senior citizens and living in that kind of buildings, and they face a lot of challenges of no water uh, after the impact of a natural disaster, or power failures, blackouts. We have blackouts daily in the island. It's incredible. In the 20th century, we were a model in the world. Everybody loves to travel to Puerto Rico and says, "Wow, you have drug companies, you have manufacturing, you have everything." And because of different social changes and economical changes in the last 25 years, and the impact of these powerful hurricanes, we need to move forward and respond. So we work in risk mitigation, structural damage, electrical hazards, and all of this content that is important to educate and instruct all the sectors in the community, private, government, and NGOs. That's the mission of PuroClean of San Juan. I think you can move forward, Karina, for the next slide. If we have some, yeah. For me, it's very important to familiarize people with the preparedness cycle. Emergency management have four cycles, and all of these cycles is part of emergency management process. But preparedness for me is everything. When you will start cooking, it's not like open the fridge and try to figure out what you collect to cook your paella or your favorite dishes. Um, Sorry, I have this in Do Not Disturb, but I don't know why this keep allowing calls. Sorry. So if you are prepared, if you're going to cook, you need to defrost your meat. You need to put together your veggies, the condiments, the pan, or all the tools you're gonna use. You need to wash your hands, put everything in place, and then you start cooking. And your food will be good because you will prepare. It's the same when you're gonna transport yourself. You need to have your car ready with gasoline, well maintenance, oil changing regularly, the conditions on the tires. And if you do that regularly, when you're gonna turn on your car, you can move and you're prepared. So that's our main objective at this point, and our strategy to prepare the community with planning, organize their resources, their logistics, their equipment, train people, exercise what you type on a emergency management planning. I mentioned to people, you can type whatever you want, or you can go now to ChatGPT or any other AI and request, hey, can you provide me the content of a good emergency management planning? And ChatGPT will offers to you something real good. But for you being prepared and you can respond properly, you need to be prepared. And your objectives must be SMART objectives: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, in a time bound. So that's part of what we're doing all the time, and we are prepared. PuroClean of San Juan responds to a tremendous fire in a warehouse and a mechanical shop of the Porsche company in Puerto Rico. Is a prestigious and well-known brand, and they trust us to clean and respond to this fire on their facilities. So we respond, we coordinate, and we can evaluate. So that's what PuroClean use Crespo advisors at this point. They respond, and I can support them to comply with all the standards, safety and security, and support the company to evaluate their own response and the response of our customers everywhere. So planning is the key to success. Obtaining information in advance reduces response time during an emergency, and everything. It's about preparedness. We were talking out of the keynote presentation when we were coordinating about, because we have three options to project our presentation: PowerPoint from Karina, PDF from Karina, and the PowerPoint and PDF with Heather and Claire. And I said, this is what we do. We are first responders. So no excuses. When you have a fire, you will never hear a fire department, we have no water, the truck have no diesel, the fire is too big, we are not in proper conditions. Never you will hear that from firefighters or first responders, because it's part of our culture. We work to achieve our goals all the time, and with good faith and a good sense of community, friendship, and work together, we can prepare and we can respond. We demonstrate that for years, and this is what we do in PuroClean of San Juan. So that's uh, our brand. We are the paramedics of property damage, and for me, it's a great honor. After serve Puerto Rico Fire Department and Puerto Rico Emergency Management Agency for 20 years. Start early retirement from my public life and join the private sector and be part of Joseph staff, PuroClean of San Juan. It's a great honor. Thanks, Heather, and thanks, Claire, for inviting us to this amazing opportunity to showcase us and met all of these wonderful people from FEMA and different sectors. I'm glad. So you have a friend here, and I love to cook. And Real Madrid, yeah, you're right, Heather, is the greatest club in the world. And you can join Puerto Rico
Fantastic.
and join us anytime.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ángel, and thank you, Joseph, too. And now I'd like to open up the floor to questions from the audience. What questions do you have? This is a unique opportunity to speak with Ángel and Joseph, who serve a unique niche there in Puerto Rico and on the mainland, too. Do I see any questions coming in? Okay, I have a question. I'll kick it off. Joseph and Ángel, you gave us the example of the Caribe Hilton Hotel in San Juan, an iconic luxury hotel that's been there for decades. When it was rebuilt, are there now building codes and ordinances that allowed you to build back better and stronger?
Yeah, 100%. I think the government entities and they learned a lesson in a way, and they established better codes. Right? It's just the infrastructure is just so old, and just the newer buildings or the newer constructions that is coming in, this is getting up to code. But then the people that are suffering and dealing is just those older properties and older structures. The infrastructure is just almost collapsing. So they still dealing. So we got to mitigate with that. There's not an option just to take it all down completely and rebuild it.
Mm,
So yeah, we come in to trying to mitigate and make sure that we can keep it together. So,
mm, interesting. Other questions?
want to make sure, and I wanted to mention there's a lot of really good contacts and important people here, so including FEMA and some agencies. So definitely, I want to share information. That's my contact info. I would love some input, feedback, and ideas, connections, everything that we can use to support our community down here. You guys are experts, right? And yeah, 100%. If you stop by Puerto Rico and supposed to stop by vacations, better say hi and stop by our offices. Definitely, you got a friend out here. Our website and point of contact and everything is in there. But I will definitely will be open to sit down, mentor. I will fly and talk about any input on any of the expertise that you have that might help just prevent and help our community out here in Puerto Rico.
Fantastic. And maybe Ángel and Joe, if you could drop your email addresses into the chat box. I know that often folks think of questions or connections after the presentations, and so this will serve as a way for them to reach you. Oh, I do see a question coming in from Matthew Caleb, Miami-Dade County. Question is, does your company help victims of disaster leverage post-disaster funding from the federal government or other sources? Great question.
So on the strategic side and communication side, we have an office in Karina, the person that's actually handling all that. We create alliances with government entities, and we're educating ourselves on what's available for the people, and that's the lack of knowledge on all the residents here in Puerto Rico. It's a common theme. Same with like a lot of underinsured personnel and people, right? So we're trying to be proactive and be ready and educate, and that's part of our structure. But in the aftermath, we do provide some guidance, just basically guiding the personnel to the right agency, right connection. We're already making connections with those agencies beforehand, and we know the main point of contact. We know how to streamline the process. So as a private sector, we're doing as much as we can, to guide them in the right direction. It could be more funding, and that's why we got to engage in all these conversations. I'm sure there's a lot more programs and things that we're not even aware, and that it will help our residents. So we're open to any type of feedback. But yeah, that's our priority. We prepare, we deal with the aftermath, but then they got resources out here. There's a lot of federal funding that our residents are able to use, and they need a company like us to kind of guide them in the right direction. And so,
Mm, Great question. Thank you, Matthew. Other questions? Let's see. This is another sort of case study question from your example, Ángel, of the diesel spill at the community health center. So you said the community health center did not have insurance to cover that type of disaster, and the fees were around $28,000 in that case, and in other cases like that where the property does not have the correct insurance coverage, who pays for that and what happens?
The organization, they have their own funding, so in a
Okay.
painful way they paid with their own
Yeah. Okay.
resources, but it's an NGO, so it's
Yeah.
hard to pay $28,000 just because of that. After that, I introduced them for a environmental engineer, well-known professional in Puerto Rico. His name is Juan Carlos Mercado. He's
Okay.
a expert on this kind of matters, but also his office sell insurance, and he have that kind of coverage. So I don't remember the exactly amount of the year policy, but they
Hmm.
provide different options to this kind of organizations. For provide just an example, you can pay $5,000 a year, and
Hmm.
they cover with a limit any kind of spill or hazardous materials, explosions and stuff like that that uh, can create pollution. And with a minimum payment, they paid to $1 million or something like that. Or you can pay like $1,000, and in case of the disaster hits your organization, and then you
Hmm.
pay a little bit more, and they cover the other part. So they have different solutions, but not all the insurance companies in the island offer that pollution liability
Okay.
policy. Is very important. And another opportunity, organizations like that, and not only NGOs, private sector and everybody in general, don't know the difference of hazardous material and hazardous waste. It's very different, the treatment
Mm.
and the standards and regulations. When you
Okay.
have a hazardous material, the manufacturer is responsible when the manufacturer is manufacturing the
Hmm.
product, the good. The carrier, when you sell the product over the highway, on a ship, and or during the shipment process, is the responsible. And when you get that hazardous material, you're responsible from the cradle to the grave. That's
That's
what the RICRA law establishes, a doctrine. Like,
hmm
somebody is responsible of a hazardous material since the day the material is created or born
hmm
until go to the landfill or is consumed. So many people don't understand that, but it's a hazardous material spill occurred. That waste must go to a laboratory, and that laboratory will make some tests, and they will conclude if that material is not a material at this point, is waste, if it's hazardous or non-hazardous.
Right.
If it's non-hazardous in Puerto Rico, we can collect that waste in some landfills that are specialized on that kind of non-waste waste, no waste material but if it's hazardous, you need to ship that to US for a special landfill, and that's another game uh, with millions of dollars, and exists another regulations. It's a very long topic or very deep topic. It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that is part of the value I add to the brand, or uh,
Hmm.
good consulting that I can provide top to the table as a first responder, hands on in the government, but now in the private sector.
Yep.
So we can aware organizations and people to get up that kind of policy. And
Hmm.
another thing that most people in Puerto Rico and inclusively US don't know is I think is the CFR 40, Code of Federal Regulation 40. It's
Okay.
about um, SPCC. That's Spill Control and Measurement, SPCC. Spill Plan of Control and Countermeasurements Plan, something like that. If you collect over 50 gallons of diesel, gasoline, or any kind of material, you must type that plan. And it's not only to go to ChatGPT or pay the professional to type your plan. Is that you can type, okay, I have 2,000 gallons of diesel, and I will call PuroClean, and that's it. And this is our plan. Sounds good in the paper, but in the reality, what you type on this plan, you must capable to move forward because you are commit with the government that I have this spill, these materials, and in case of a spill, I identified previously a restoration company, and I have a policy. It's a technical topic that is important to move forward after all of these disasters because all of these regulations exist prior to Maria and all of these disasters. But
Right.
our conditions in the island to any kind of operation or our way of living, uh, we need to comply with that. It's a matter of
Mhm.
saving lives, protect property, and preserve the environment.
Mm. Oh, fantastic, Angel. And you've touched on so many important avenues that warrant further discussion. One, the value of public-private partnerships. We must. To insurance. We're seeing some very interesting private sector insurance opportunities coming out of Puerto Rico that actually can serve as examples for the mainland. And then third, this connection between hazardous spills and natural disasters. Unfortunately, they often do occur together, and we must all be prepared to handle those kinds of unique situations. So again, thank you. Um, thank you both so much
Heather, we have
for.
another question in the chat
Oh,
as well.
oh, we do. Okay. Let's pull that up. Jeremy, okay. Is there an umbrella private sector mechanism that supports DRM in Puerto Rico, and is your organization a member?
Yeah, so not necessarily, not really. Basically, the way that we there are mechanisms as far as like the insurance agencies, and they're putting some products together to be able to support. But as far as like an entity that provides the support completely, maybe that's something that we should to start, And this associations that we're a part of that you see at the bottom, basically we decided if there's nothing specific with disasters relief, we should just join forces with the top of the top. You got engineers, you got developers, you got constructors, you got people that do constructions out there in Puerto Rico. So we belong and we're part of all these organizations, and they do have programs there that incentivize and trying to get their clients to have access to remediation services and things like that. But there's not one big mechanism that exists out there that will do it. Maybe that's something we should get going on.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
in a way.
Great question, Jeremy. Yes, and another open opportunity, right?
Mm, yep.
All right, I think I'll wrap up here. With any other questions, please direct them to Joe and Angel's email. And certainly if you think out of other connections, please reach out after this presentation. And thank you so much, Joe and Angel, for taking the time to share with your perspectives with us today.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to open up the floor for a few minutes for any partner announcements. You can also feel free to raise your hand, virtual hand, real hand, drop your announcements into the chat box. Chiquita, I see you have a announcement.
Hi, yes, it's Chiquetta.
Chiquita,
Um,
sorry.
it's okay. So many of you may or may not be familiar with the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. After this week, we will no longer be. We will separate into two separate agencies. So the South Carolina Department of Public Health and the South Carolina Department of Environmental Services. So if you start seeing some new logos, new names, that is why. So July 1, The environmental side of DHEC will be known as the Department of Environmental Services.
Oh, thank you for that update. I appreciate that. And I
You're
hope the
welcome.
transition goes well for all of you.
We have been waiting for July 1 for a very long time.
Oh, good. Okay. Progress moving forward. Other announcements, I see Randall Matthews is announcing um, emergency management specialist is being hired in Chatham County, Georgia. Click on the link if interested. Please share with your networks. Other announcements? All right. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing. And if you have any additional resources, updates, announcements, please send them to us at scdrp@socorro.org, and we will further share all of your announcements in our next newsletter. So this concludes our June monthly partnership meeting. A very special thank you to our super speakers, Joseph Ortiz and Ángel Crespo. Such a pleasure to meet both of you. And thank you for joining us today. So next time I see you on July 25th, we will continue our Partner Pick Summer Speaker Series. And to all of you, have a great day.